Fam, welcome back to the painting. Today we're gonna paint Zen the fuck out and talk about Zen the fuck out, because at the moment everybody's really frightened and the world's kind of gone into a state of panic, and I don't think anybody really understands what's going on or what we're doing and what we're supposed to be doing. Most of the world doesn't know how to cope with trauma. And you shouldn't have to know how to cope with trauma. You should just know how to survive as a human being. You shouldn't have had to have learned how to cope with trauma. Those of us that have had to learn about it, it wasn't a good thing, But those of us that have learnt about it, is, I don't know, let's start this again. I think the complication of trauma is the fact that people don't understand it. And we have been trained to always go for the positive. Everything's got to be sunshine and fucking roses. And, bubblegum. Everybody's always got to smile. Everybody's always got to be happy. Which is awesome. It's great. It's a survival instinct. It's fantastic. But as spiritual human beings, there's so much more to us than just basic survival and just and sometimes this is why trauma gets brought to us, because we have to learn through it. We have to realize that it's not money that matters. It's not material possessions that matter. It's life that matters. We get so lost as human beings in all these fucking stupid, irrelevant arguments like race, sex, culture, and yes, it's very important, it's huge, but actually it's very irrelevant. What you do in your private space, in your private home, should be your own private fucking business, and you shouldn't really worry about having the rights given to you by another human being. Because another human being, unless they are a authority, that human being can't take your rights away anyway. If I tell you I disapprove of what you're doing in your life, the only way that can affect you is if you give a fuck. So here's the first principle of Zen the fuck out. In the midst of trauma, you sit down and you figure out where your fuck's being given. What's important? What are you actually paying attention to? What are you actually giving your investment and your energy and your power to? Where are you investing yourself? Because we get so wrapped up in all these things, we fight for the rights, but we're fighting for the rights from somebody who never had the right to take it away from us. Why do you care what your neighbor thinks? Why do you give two fucks about the lady down the road? Why are you concerned about the opinions of those who are not in your house? They're not in your bedroom. They're not in your church. So why do you need them to tell you that they approve of your decisions that you've made? You approve of your decisions that you've made, and then DGAF it. Gary V the motherfucker, why do you have to give a fuck? DGAF, don't give a fuck. We are so lost in being concerned with things that are not important. And then at the same space, we're not paying attention to the things that really are important, like spiritual development, spiritual connection, our getting to know ourselves, getting into our higher consciousness, becoming a greater human being, actually contributing something of fucking value to this planet other than just absorbing and whining because we didn't like the way that it worked out. If you don't like the way that it works out, how about you get off your ass and you do something to make something different? We love to sit around and whine and bitch, hate the government. I live in South Africa, my government's frightening. But my government had to pick up the shreds of a fucked up society. So they're trying to fix a situation that was broken. So I think a little bit of patience and understanding is required. But this is the thing. We as human beings, we don't do the right thing. We'll be all like wrapped up and upset and get all angry and fight about what the government is failing to do. Instead of realizing that the government is trying to figure out how to solve massive big problems you can't even begin to comprehend. We really, most of us can hardly even run a budget. And now you're going to bitch about how they're making decisions in a global pandemic when no country knows what they're doing, but you're going to diss our government. I'm actually quite proud of my government. I think they're doing the best they can do. Yeah, we got problems. We all got problems. All countries got problems. But the first rule for me of overcoming and learning to deal with and thriving within trauma is to sit down, stop being a useless frickin' meat suit for 5 minutes in your life and actually center yourself in a space where you can hear your higher self, where you can hear the greater beings, connect to source, find ground where you can actually make sense of something. Or even if you can't make sense of it, just find ground. Just stop. That's why the concept of meditation, which of course we think is just sitting on your ass and chanting, which is not meditation, but anyway, that's for another video. We think that we just got to sit down and everything's going to get better. Things aren't going to get better just because you sit down. Things will get better if you sit down and start thinking properly. Start taking accountability for your role in society, for what you're doing or not doing. Because it's all very easy to point fingers at everybody else about what they should or shouldn't be doing, what they're not doing. What are you doing? What are you contributing to the society that actually is improving it? And even if it's not to society, but to yourself. And not bullshit. Not like I bought a new car, because what is that? That is nothing. Material possessions are nothing. Do you know who you are? Are you connected to yourself? Can you actually feel your own feelings? Or are you just feeling the feelings that people have told you that you feel? Do you have any sense of self? And sit still until you find that. That's the first rule. Zen the fuck out. Just calm down. Calm down. Pull out. Stop defending things you don't understand. Stop allowing things you shouldn't. That's why there's a zap sign on the dude, or dude, woman makes no freaking difference. This is not about sex. So, it's about calmly understanding what's worth fighting about, what's not worth fighting about. What are you actually investing in? And is it worth it? One day when you look in the eyes of your maker, will you be proud of the decisions that you made?